Every day, you wake up as your own boss, making your own way. Every day, you continue your journey to change the world, your team, and yourself. Every day, you encourage, congratulate, celebrate, and reach toward your goal of being the best and providing the best. The Build Your Best Business Show is for you. The real stories of building a business from other owners and founders along the journey. Find the support and advice you need to successfully start, grow, manage, and exit your business. What are you going to do today to build your best business?
Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Build Your Best Business focuses on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, grow, manage, and eventually exit a business? We are on site at the TiECon South event, which has been put on by TiE Atlanta. It's a day of education and mentorship, and we're talking with two individuals who are in the space of kind of the university space. So they are the creators, inventors, founders of WEAV3D. I have
Chris Oberste.
And Lewis Motion.
Chris and Lewis. So tell me a little bit about what is WEAV3D? I'm dying to know because I didn't let you tell me beforehand.
Sure. So WEAV3D is a composite manufacturing machine that allows automotive manufacturers to produce carbon fiber composites for a price competitive rate, which allows them to meet federal fuel economy standards by reducing vehicle weight.
Okay. I don't think I understand
Very
anything
technical.
you just said. Yeah, you're both from Georgia Tech, right?
To give you some
I went to North
background-
Georgia College.
Okay, I
there
see.
you go. So, going to have to break it down a little bit
So
for me.
I'm actually a PhD student at Georgia Tech, so
Okay.
I confuse my team members sometimes.
Yes, he does.
So basically we build a machine
Yeah.
that builds the parts that go into your car.
Cool.
And
So, like, I ran over a possum on the way to Charleston, so I may need a new grill.
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Got
we
it.
can do grills, hoods, door panels, any body component of the vehicle.
I'll take you out and show you later.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, all right, very cool. So, and then you guys got together to move this idea forward, right, as a company.
Correct. And it actually started as a class project where we joined together, the two of us plus a third person from Georgia Tech, another MBA student, and then two Emory University JD students.
Okay.
And so the five of us are part of a program called Tiger, which is a joint effort between Emory University and Georgia Tech.
And I like that multidisciplinary approach, because that's how the real world is. You end up with people from different backgrounds who have different expertise. Did you select based on that? Did you already know what roles people were going to play, or were you kind of thrown together to work on this?
We did know the roles, so it was Chris's technology that was brought together, and part of this Tiger program, they bring multiple PhD projects, multiple MBA students, and multiple JDs together, and you basically self-select from that group who your five is going to look like at the beginning of the 2-year process.
I was the ultimate survivor.
Correct. And Chris actually led the selection for all the groups, and so once our team was formed, everyone started scrambling and forming their respective teams. But
Okay.
we got the
I like
best.
to think I picked the best people
You did.
for my team.
You did. That's how it works. So tell me how the program works. So from after selecting teams, then what do you do next? Where are you headed? Those kind of things.
Sure. So it's roughly a 2-year program, so 4 semesters. In the first semester, we go through sort of industry analysis and patentability searches around the technology, sort of see where is it applicable, whether or not it can be protected. And then in the second semester, we go in and we do a commercialization plan. So we look at sort of what's the business model that we would need to use. And then in the fall of the following year, the third semester, we actually sort of dig down into an actual business plan in particular and sort of figure out what's the operating style and all that sort of stuff. And then this semester, it's basically a free study semester, and we're using it to do all sorts of competitions like TiE, the University of Oregon New Venture Championship, and the Georgia Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, and doing these events where you have to present your idea very succinctly and get people to understand it, that's a great way to practice that. So as you talked about putting this together, your product thing sounds like machine. Sounds like it's a B2B play, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So
Which is very different from some of the others, right?
Yeah, so our primary customers are actually just three in North America: Ford,
go. All right.
GM, and Chrysler.
And me, because I need a
Exactly,
new
yeah. So we'll have some B2C just for you. But yeah, so it's been very interesting sort of looking at how general entrepreneurship books and they sort of play more towards the B2C or a software B2B play, and we're on more of an equipment side going B2B, and we've sort of had to learn a lot sort of just experientially as we went through the process.
So tell me how you did that. How did you experientially learn who you were going to go after and how to make those inroads?
You want to talk about I-Core?
Absolutely. So last summer we were accepted into a program from the National Science Foundation called Innovation Corps, or I-Core for short. And it's a $50,000 grant they provide for customer discovery, along with training that goes with it too, and you get mentoring throughout the process. And the whole purpose of that is for you to really narrow down who your customer is going to be. So it's all about customer discovery. We originally started out in the aerospace industry. That was my background as well. And so we thought, with this technology that Chris has developed, we can create a stronger, lighter product with the machines. So aerospace would definitely benefit.
Drones.
Exactly. We looked at drones, but through this process, we narrowed down the best path to market. We narrowed down who the best customers would be and who our sustaining customers would be in the long run. Aerospace has such a long qualification process, usually over 10 years, multiple $1 million just to be able to get your foot in the door. And as one interview from Boeing, BRNT told us, startups go to die in aerospace. And so
that was like one of the quotes you put up on the wall.
Yes.
You're like, and we're going to follow that way.
Exactly.
Right?
But we also looked at maritime industries, into racing industries in general. We looked in the sporting goods industry and saw that there were a lot of different applications there. But the automotive industry really had the biggest burning need for our technology, particularly with the CAFE standards in trying to reduce the vehicle emissions and get vehicle weights lighter.
Right.
And Chris's technology that developed really addresses that problem, and with the conversations we've had with automotive manufacturers, they like what we're doing. Let's see where we go.
And so then the introduction of your product into their overall ecosystem, you're replacing something that they're doing today, so you've got to find either a time that they're going to either build a new one or sunset something. Is that the case, or can you make a case that's strong enough that says, yeah, that's something that we'd introduce now?
So the automotive ecosystem is somewhat interesting in that Ford and GM don't actually make almost any of the parts that are in your car. They just assemble them.
Why maybe a wall between certain countries isn't a good idea.
Yes, that is an interesting observation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the moment they currently have a supplier for metal stamped parts, and so most of your car, unless it's a really expensive car, is probably made out of steel, stamped sheet steel. So they have a supplier who makes all of their sheet stamping, and they buy from that supplier. Well, they also have separate suppliers that make plastic parts that go in the interior of your car and that are non-structural covers on the exterior of your car, so things like bumper covers or trim lines. And basically the way that our technology enters the market is we sell our machine to the plastic manufacturer, and the plastic manufacturer then goes to the automotive OEM and says, we have this new capability, and we can build these structural parts, so why don't you give us the contract for the next car that you're going to make? Don't give it to the metal stamping guys.
So you're giving them a competitive advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah, over someone else when they're bidding, because not only is their product potentially going to be more economical, but it's also going to help them achieve some of their goals and being efficient and those types of things.
Exactly.
So what have you, beyond that customer discovery process and kind of going through this, and this is long, 2 years, which it takes a long time to build a business anyway, but talk to me about this versus maybe a class where you would do case studies on a business.
This you're actually getting your hands dirty and going out there and doing this for real.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot more on the line. Essentially, because this is something we're building together, you have skin in the game. And you're much more invested in that than just studying some other company that's doing it.
Yeah.
So the lessons that we're learning for something we're applying for a career path.
Yeah.
Vice just an idea and knowledge base. So you're combining the knowledge with the experience into the steps you're taking to make a company itself.
I'll have people who've either just gotten out of school or exploring entrepreneurship, and they'll tell me they have some idea, and they're like not sure if they pursue it or not. And I said, go pursue it, because at least if you have something you're pursuing, you're being more practical than just, one day I might want to go do my own thing.
Exactly.
It doesn't become tangible till you have a something you're trying to push forward and trying to work. So, lessons learned along the way of just either working, and you're working across schools, so that sounds interesting. So how do they bring you guys together, and have you talk about like the building a team concept of it?
So from our perspective, the first sort of month or two of the program is basically speed dating. So they arrange to have, so as a PhD student, we give presentations.
Yeah.
So they set up a presentation schedule with all the PhD teams in our home labs.
Oh, wow.
And then the JDs and the MBAs have to attend a certain percentage of these presentations. And then beyond the presentation side of things, they also have social events. So going out to dinner or just having like a school-sponsored beer open bar, which is fantastic, and it's sort of a meet and greet idea. Yeah. And then they give us a deadline by which we have to form the team. So it's very much sort of self-defined.
Yeah.
So we pick the people who meet our interests. So Lewis is actually a Coast Guard helicopter pilot prior to coming and doing his MBA. So he was really well connected with the idea of weight savings and helicopters, and that was sort of why we were looking at more aerospace background. And other people are doing biomedical stuff, so maybe they come from a background in pharma or somewhere like that. So they'll gravitate more towards that project. And then when it comes to the actual economics of sort of hosting classes for this program, we meet once a week. We meet for 3 hours, and we meet in the evening. So it's designed to allow evening MBA students to participate. And there's a rotational schedule where we meet most of the time at Georgia Tech's campus, but several times during the semester we actually have classes over at Emory, and we invite usually more legal-based presenters to give guest lectures. So that was the other nice thing about this program is it's not just a set curriculum that's you're lectured at every day. They actually go out and they get entrepreneurs and business lawyers, people who have actually worked in the space, whether or not it's from the company side or the investor side, and they give us presentations and they tell us sort of what did they learn and what does their day-to-day look like, and they let us ask them questions that maybe they wouldn't answer in a normal setting. Right. Sort of about like, how do you really come to valuation of a company?
Which is still a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, it's very much a black box.
Yeah, nobody can. Yeah, nobody's like, it's. What's interesting about that in the entrepreneurial space, it would be cool to. We have pitch events and things, but having them such that you could have people self-select. That's an interesting application to the real world, right? And then the other thing it reminds me, my daughter's in art school, and their last year they bring together different practice areas and make them do something together. So like if you've done ceramics and photography, you may have to have people from different principles to build one project, and that makes you start to play nicely in the sandbox, right? So anyway, well, very interesting. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck. You guys gave your presentation to go to like Global World or something today.
No, not Global World.
No, it was some kind of thing. It was just, I thought that you had to do a pitch, right?
Yeah, we did.
You'd like, there's some win, isn't there? There's a competition.
It's a $5,000 win.
Oh,
right.
okay,
Yeah,
there's money.
Cash prize.
Cash prize. Like that. All right. So we're coming to you from the TiECon South event, which has been put on by TiE Atlanta, and we've been talking, you said Tiger, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've been talking with a group with Tiger.
Chris.
And
Lewis
from WEAV3D. Thank you for listening to Build Your Best Business. Now, what are you going to go do to build your own best business?
Are you looking to grow your business? Maybe you know exactly who you need to get in contact with. You're just not sure how to go about it. Podcasting is your answer, and at Briller Media, we make you the expert. We have state-of-the-art equipment to record your audio and video podcast. Plus, we take care of everything on the back end. We schedule your guests, upload your podcast to the top podcasting platforms, and we push out your show on social media, promoting you, your business, and your guest's business. How could they ignore your pitch after that? Briller Media, we make you look brilliant.
Sometimes, life gives you crazy ideas. Chase them.
Congratulations, you're your own boss. Now comes the hard part. It's not just about starting a business, it's about successfully managing and growing that business to an eventual exit. And along that entrepreneurial journey, you're going to run into questions and problems that you need quick answers to. Things like, do you need a business plan? How do you read a balance sheet? How do you talk to an investor? When do you bring on a founder? Or what if you're having problems with your partner? These are the types of things that you run into as you're trying to grow that business to the next level, and they may not be the things you want to share in public with other people. They're the problems and issues that arise that, as I have experienced along my own entrepreneurial journey, that I needed to have someone I could trust to reach out to and have a conversation and get a different perspective. And it was often those short conversations that would be the thing that moved me from where I was to where I needed to be. It's for that reason I created the On-Demand CXO product offering. On-Demand CXO is something that you can use to have a conversation with a trusted advisor about what's going on in your business. We do a 1-hour phone call to talk about your business, talk about your objectives, and understand what it's going to take to move you from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. From there, you have ongoing access to a Slack channel to ask me questions in private about what's going on in your business so that I can provide some advice or connections to my network to individuals who can help you solve against that problem. You will also have access to my Facebook page, which is full of other entrepreneurs who are along the same journey, to have more broad conversations, things that you trust and would talk about in a networking event. But when you need to go and have that conversation with a trusted advisor, you will have the ability to have a conversation with me in a place that's safe, completely anonymous, and unbiased. I want to see you succeed and build your very best business.
Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Build Your Best Business focuses on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, manage, grow, and potentially exit a business? We're coming to you from TiECon South, which is a production of TiE Atlanta, and we're talking with the younger set of entrepreneurs, the people that I'm sort of jealous about because I didn't have the opportunity to do any of this stuff. Being an entrepreneur when I started meant you were unemployed. That's exactly what it said. There's a movie.
Still mean that now.
I could, but it sounds so much cooler when you're like, "Hey, I'm an entrepreneur." So I'm talking to Kenneth Wright. He's with a company or a concept called Klean Collar.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
and participating in the TYE program, which
Yes.
is either TiE Young Entrepreneur or the Young Entrepreneur, and we're
Yeah.
going back and forth on that. But anyway.
It's definitely associated with TiE.
There you go. There you go. So tell me about what Klean Collar does.
So Klean Collar is actually a company that I started back in 2012. Actually, it was started and named after the signature product I invented called Klean Collar, which permanently prevents your shirt collar from getting dirty. I'm actually wearing one of the prototypes right now, and since then we have kind of moved into another realm of actually men's apparel. So we have our own line of suits, shirts, ties, things like that, which is under the Klean Gent brand. So we have Klean Collar and Klean Gent, and Klean Collar is like the parent company.
Very nice. Yeah, there's nothing worse than having a really great shirt and then it gets ruined.
Absolutely.
That's one of the first places.
Yes, and
It
it's
gets
most visible as well.
That and buttons.
Yeah.
Like, could people buy decent buttons? Seriously. So how did you come up with this idea?
So, of course, as you can tell, I'm a big guy, right? Had a pretty unique physique.
I think he weighs less than I do. So.
Had a pretty unique physique, and actually what ended up happening was in college I joined an organization, and with that organization we kind of branded ourselves as like the dress-up, go-to GQ guys. And so because of that, of course, I wanted to kind of change up my style some and, you know, obviously dress a little differently. And so started kind of getting custom-made shirts. And what I discovered is, of course, investing that type of money in shirts, especially as a broke college student,
Yeah.
it became costly. And I was
Right.
having to then replace those shirts only after a few wears, 2 or 3 wears, and then having to get them laundered and cleaned, which, as you know, takes away the life cycle and the wearability of the shirt itself. So I actually took a year off of school against the advice of my parents and set off on this journey to say, hey, I'm going to create this product that will permanently prevent other persons like myself from having this dirt ring issue.
Wow.
Yes.
And that conversation may have been worse than mine with my parents when I was like, I'm leaving IBM. They're like, what? so you worked on it yourself, but you're participating in this program. So tell
Yes.
me about that. So like, how did you go from doing it on your own to then deciding that this was the way
course.
to move it forward?
So since then, of course, I've gotten back into school, obviously. You know, I promised my parents I would finish up. However, I actually found my engineer because he had got lost on campus at Georgia State. He was checking in his daughter, and I was walking around campus and ran into them, and you know, somehow we started talking about this idea that I had, and he's like, well, hey, I'm a retired professor from Georgia Tech, and I'm a chemical engineer, and this is what I do, like maybe we should talk. So literally that day was the first day I met my engineer, I guess long story short, who helped to really create the concepts and give us our first 3D prototype of the actual product itself. So that was back in 2009. 2012 is when the company officially became an incorporated business.
Oh,
in
wow.
the
So
state of
you've been
Georgia.
working on this for a long time?
Yes. I've really been at it for a while.
Yeah.
And of course, it takes consistency and commitment, but obviously through programs like TiE, they help you to kind of avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the downfalls that other companies quite possibly similar to yours. I think because of the uniqueness of my product, there's not many other companies to compare it to other than either apparel-related products or companies that are related to men's fashion or men's apparel.
Right.
So we're kind of learning a lot as we go through this process, even with working some of my mentors, which TiE actually assigns you 2 mentors that are committed to helping you, you know, work through the details of your business plan, making sure that, you know, if there's any, I guess, flaws or areas of improvement, they help you mentor you through that process. And so I think for them and for myself, it's been everyone learning really about how best to get this product to market and to see it be as successful as we feel that it would be.
Yeah, what's interesting about that serendipity that you talked about, I'm a get it done kind of guy. So
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, I got a schedule, I'm on my way.
You and me both.
Right. And so when somebody gets in my way, I'm like, but you never know, right? You never know who that person is
absolutely.
you run into at Starbucks or who stops you is
Absolutely.
going to become some kind of connection you need
Yes.
long term or make some referral.
Of course.
I have to remind myself
In
of
this
that.
regard, he was like the lifeline to the business of getting it up and going. So, of course, I'm glad I always tell him I'm grateful that you got lost that day, and I'm grateful that your daughter chose Georgia State.
So as you've gone along this path, so 2009, it's 2017, so 8 years.
Yes.
So where are you in that process?
Oh, so many milestones have been accomplished since then. Of course, we've done several pitch competitions, but I think our first one was like $100. And of course,
Okay.
as a business owner, everything helps.
Right.
So of course, we've done many a pitch competition since then. But to date, we actually have a product that's in mass production. We'll be looking to launch the product in August. We're going to be featured on an upcoming television show on ABC. Really excited
upcoming
about
television
that.
show
Yeah,
on
I can't
ABC.
release too many details just yet.
An
but,
upcoming television show
it's-
on ABC.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
But nonetheless, we also have been, we've been contacted by another retailer who actually wants to do an exclusive partnership with us to carry the product for the first introductory 6 months of the product as well.
Oh, awesome.
So really, really excited
So
about
you're
it.
at what could be a tipping point for you.
Yes. And actually, I'm at the point now where, because it has been just me for the most part, for most of the time, really kind of keeping things pushing, I have to find team members now. And,
Okay.
and of course, that also calls in bringing in funding and getting in
Funding and-
investors. And so not going to really come to work for free like I did for 8 years. So
Yeah.
I kept my day job, though.
Doesn't so work that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So, as you and you talked a little bit about so it's Klean Collar, but then also Klean Gent.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
what was the decision for that diversification?
Yes, so it's very, very exciting to me because I've always had a passion for fashion. Of course, just by your
Ooh, a passion
apparel.
for fashion.
Yeah, I'm going to try to copyright that so I can own that. But I saw from your TiE game there that you two have a passion for fashion. And so, of course, for me, since I've always had that, my dad actually owned a men's apparel company as well. He did suits and shirts and ties, and my mom owned a wedding chapel. So entrepreneurship has always been in the family.
That's a good
But for
connection.
me
You go to the
specifically-
wedding chapel, you're like, I need a suit.
Of course. And then they were both clergy, so that's even better.
Oh, that's awesome.
But for me, since I did have that passion for fashion, what I started doing, because of course getting Klean Collar from an R&D, which is like research and development, and engineering perspective was very costly, I'm like, I need another way to fund this, and I don't want to give away all of my equity.
Right.
Plus, by day, I was working a job and putting most of my salary into the business. So I actually started designing ties and getting women from my church, like who were retired and knew how to work sewing machines, to start designing pocket squares and ties and bow ties. And then I started selling those. And then in return, using that revenue to fund the research and development and the engineering costs behind the Klean Collar product. And then what ended up happening was people started consulting with me to say, hey, would you help style me for my wedding? Or would you style me for this?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe there's a whole other entity here that I didn't think of, but I did not want them to be one and the same.
Right.
So I separated them and then started Klean Gent. Ironically, actually, 4 years later, it was incorporated on the same day as Klean Collar. So December
that's
17, it was incorporated as its own separate entity. And that's actually our line of apparel and everything that goes under that. And then the Klean Collar product is just the sole invention itself.
Well, as a big believer and user of Trunk Club,
Yes.
that is definitely, yeah.
So let me share just a little bit about what Klean Gent actually is going to become as of Father's Day, June. We're actually turning it into a subscription service. We've created 3 style profiles called the Classic, Conservative, and Contemporary, where we basically dress you based upon your style profile. Now, from corporate America, I come from business sales, so of course I've worked for places like Microsoft and Apple and things like that. So I've been in cultures where maybe they're a little bit more open to being a little more fun in what you wear.
Right.
And Microsoft more recently than, of course, Apple.
Right.
But for other persons, like I have colleagues on Wall Street, they can't do the crazy colors.
Yeah.
But they do want to have a diverse wardrobe. So when we created Klean Gent and kind of turned it into now a subscription service, which is what it will become now, we give you not only a chance to tell us your style profile, so we'll dress you based upon your style profile, but you also get to choose your tie style. So whether it's the skinny tie, the regular tie, or the freestyle bow tie, we understand that every gentleman is not the same,
Right.
that everyone has their own sense of uniqueness, and they have their own corporate environment that they have to dress appropriately for. And so through KG, that's something that we're going to be doing, not necessarily to compete with Trunk Club, because that's a different, but we're taking that same type of subscription service and turning it into something where people get some say-so, and then they'll get a box of our product every month.
Yeah, I really like those subscription plans, and then also, because what I'm looking for is for them to surprise me. So I want
Yes.
them to send me something that no one else has,
Absolutely.
and that's what I'm going to take. You know,
Yes.
because I can go to the store, I don't actually hate it, right?
Right.
It's a matter of like finding something that no one else is going to be wearing or
Yes.
whatever. So what have you? Give me a key. Like if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to do something similar. Like I've got an idea for a product
Yes.
that's similar to yours." What would be maybe first pieces of advice? Wish you could go back and tell yourself something back in the
Yeah.
past.
Of course, you want to do a lot of research. I mean, we have done a lot of research. Of course, when they say there's nothing new under the sun, the first patent filed off of the idea of addressing the dirt ring around the collar of the shirt was back in the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And I wish that it was as simple as it was then as it's not now, because it is very, very difficult now to go through the patent process, at least the right way. But for us, I think where we could have probably done better is doing more research, which is obviously what we do now with our subscription, service that we're trying to get into. And even with Klean Collar, looking at, okay, we know that there have been competitors who've approached this idea. They haven't approached it like us, which of course we've looked at how we're different in the market, but why weren't they successful in the market? Like
Right.
researching, was it the fact that there was no market, or was it the fact that they didn't know how to fund the market or to market that reach getting into the market? So that's really kind of something that I would probably say I've taken away just as an entrepreneur in general, looking at as a business owner, what's going to set me apart and what's going to help me be seen as the best of the best amongst my competitors when I get them or if I have them.
Yeah, what's interesting is we heard that from the high school groups too, of looking at similar product categories and
Yes.
determining like from the reviews what people hated about the product and making something that's different, and not really wanting to invent something new necessarily, but just
Yes.
improve upon something.
Absolutely, and I think that is key. And in a lot of ways, it's a lot of niche markets. Like as you look at newer companies and new ideas, these aren't necessarily new ideas, but these are ones that have been proven to have been successful.
Right.
That we're seeing the fruits of their labor. Who knows how long they've worked at it. But I think it's a generality amongst entrepreneurs in general that you can go back and see, okay, you may not necessarily really be bringing something new, but you can do it better. And you might be bringing a new concept of something. Like I said, we weren't the first one to try to address the dirt ring, but in this way, we are the only active one pursuing it, and we are the only ones that have approached it in this way, where our product works the way that it works, where it actually has a specific curvature at the top that actually covers the rim of the shirt, which is
Right.
of course where the dirt ring is most visible.
Yep.
And then it covers 1.5 inches down into the collar of the shirt, where it's not necessarily visible, but it's still important to us as men.
Yeah, it would be one of the places you'd say, and I'm destroying that shirt. It's going away.
Exactly.
Hey, being in Atlanta, so, this conference runs here, and thinking about the manufacturing component, has that been an easy problem to solve?
No, it has not. It definitely
Never heard
has
that it
not.
really was. So-
Now, my biggest thing has been made in U.S. So, of
Yeah.
course, we weren't going to jeopardize the integrity of the product or the company itself by having it to go out of the country or out overseas. But we did do a lot of due diligence working with different companies from Ohio to North Carolina to trying to find companies in Georgia. Not to say that they're not present. We just needed where our engineers already had pre-existing relationships because of the type of work that we did. It's more of an injection mold type of process for us because of the product is made of a certain chemical mix. And so they had pre-existing relationships, but my biggest thing is I definitely don't want it to go out of the United States. So we were able to do that, but just here in Atlanta, we weren't able to, right now, to date, find a company that could really deliver the type of product that we wanted here. And we're actually hoping to eventually pay for that and build it ourselves so
Yeah.
that we'd be able to do it all internally as a
And
company.
I could see other extension to that product too. So,
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
very
of course,
cool.
we got Clean Cuff coming eventually as well. So you got the cuff. And then, ironically, of course, I don't wear heels. My wife does. But she was telling me about how when they wear heels, they get the dirt ring at the bottom of
Yeah.
their pants.
Oh.
So, of course, I would have never known
Yeah,
that.
we just need ceilings for our shoes too.
Yes.
That's where the other place I spend way too much money. So anyway, so I've been talking today.
This
with
guy has all the great ideas.
Kenneth
we need
Wright.
to talk business.
Kenneth Wright, he is the inventor of Klean Collar.
Yes.
And also Klean Gent, which is
Yes.
going to be a subscription plan coming out this summer. And you've been listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Now, what are you going to do to build your best business?
Every day, you wake up as your own boss, making your own way. Every day, you continue your journey to change the world, your team, and yourself. Every day, you encourage, congratulate, celebrate, and reach toward your goal of being the best and providing the best. The Build Your Best Business Show is for you. The real stories of building a business from other owners and founders along the journey. Find the support and advice you need to successfully start, grow, manage, and exit your business. What are you going to do today to build your best business?